All right, in this video, we're talking about how to maintain your LLC, all the things you need to do when you're setting up your LLC. Now, I want to quickly mention there are going to be affiliate links in the description of this video, which I am compensated when you use my links, but I appreciate it when you use my links because we're also going to talk about a cool charitable opportunity as well. But first, we want to look at the 7-point checklist for maintaining your LLC. These are things you need to be aware of. So you need to complete any additional requirements in your state. So this right here, I'm going to click this. If you go into the bonuses section down here, and you go to this AI chatbot, what you can do is you can do something like this. Let's say it's New York State and you say additional LLC requirements in New York State. Most states don't have these, but some do. And in New York State, it's really, really antiquated. But if we scroll up here, what you can see is there's a publication requirement. After filing the articles of organization, the LLCs in New York must publish a notice of formation in 2 newspapers for 6 consecutive weeks. Ridiculous that they still require you to do that, but that's what New York State requires. So you can use this AI chatbot for your state to determine if you have any additional requirements, or you can just simply go to Google and just write, additional requirements in, and then put in your state and see what pops up. Next, creating an LLC operating agreement. We've talked about that in past videos, but super helpful. Most of the states, only 5 require you to do it at time of formation, but spelling out specifically what that LLC is going to do and who the members are and what their roles and responsibilities are is really important. Number 3, set up and keep a registered agent up to date. It's not just about getting a registered agent to handle the important documentation and communication for your business, but it's also making sure you're renewing that service and you have a registered agent on file who has an address in your state, and it can't be a PO box. Here we have obtain an EIN. And we talked about this in previous videos, but again, that's just your social security number essentially for your business with the IRS. Open a business bank account. I believe we may have talked about this already, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, we talked about commingling funds in the previous video, but you want to have that business bank account set up day one so you're not commingling funds between your personal and business bank account. But also it's really important because if you make the mistake where it's like 6 months down the line and then you finally get that business bank account set up, well, you have 6 months of transactions happening, and it's hard to determine which transactions in a personal bank account are for business purposes. But at the end of the year, if you end up integrating with an accounting software or you have a CPA, you can simply upload all of your statements to that CPA, and then they're going to be able to go through and say, okay, these are all of your credits and debits that are happening within your business. Much easier at tax time if you get that business bank account set up right away. Also, researching and obtaining necessary permits, licenses, and registrations. If you have a license because you started the brewery and you have these licenses and permits, you may need to renew those licenses and permits with the state or the town or possibly on the federal level, depending on the type of business you have. And then we also have maintaining LLC compliance, filing your annual report. Every state typically has an annual report, or it may be biannual. Every 2 years, we have to renew your LLC with the state. Really important that you do that. Just know that this little checklist of items here is going to help make sure that you're maintaining the LLC. Now, the recommendation that I have for this, for as far as streamlining this, is a lot of people are going to go, if they use an online legal tool, they're going to use whatever the cheapest package. But if you see here, this is a service called Bizee, formerly called InkFile. If you're setting up an LLC with them, we'll go with Alabama because it's the first one. You'll see in the mid-tier package, there's a package fee of $199, and then the basic package is $0. But what you get for the $199 in this situation is you get pretty much all of these except for number 1 being handled for you by that service. So let's take a look at a little bit more detail. You can see that they prepare and file the articles of organization. You can do unlimited name searches, but frankly, you can do that yourself on the state website. They give you a free registered agent service for a year. They will set up your EIN business tax number. They have an operating agreement for you, banking resolution, which is going to help you set up your banking account, lifetime company alerts. This one's huge. If you go through a state website, they're not great at notifying you. I get things from my state where I pay something and they send me a receipt 3 months later via mail. It's not helpful. The online access for the dashboard, very helpful, especially if you're managing multiple LLCs. As you start to grow in business, you'll tend to have more LLCs as you keep going. Unlimited phone and email support, and then also a business tax consultation, which is free. The one thing I wanted to mention here, IRS Form 2553. Basically what that is it's an election by a small business corporation. So if you want to have an LLC and you want to elect to have it taxed as an S corporation, that's how you can do that as well. So this service right here, in my opinion, for a lot of people, the gold package with Bizee is going to be a way where you're going to spend a few extra dollars, but it's really going to streamline things and make sure that things are set up for you today, but also make it easy to manage your LLC in the future. Now, what I'd like to do is go through some of these bonuses here. The AI chatbot, I believe we already went through, but I want to talk about future tax savings. This is a really cool tax calculator. And again, this is going to take us back to Bizee because they do a really good job of explaining how you save on taxes when you eventually change to an S Corp designation. When you want to do this is typically when you're netting $40,000 to $50,000 of income in your business. So maybe year one, you make $20,000, year two, you make 40, and then the next year you're like, all right, I want to make sure that we're saving on taxes. Well, this is how you would do it. The way that you actually save on taxes is when you're paying yourself as an LLC, you will pay employment taxes on this as normal. Now, what that means is there's 15.3% in self-employment taxes as of making this video that every business owner needs to pay. These are things such as FICA, FUTA, I believe unemployment insurance is in there as well. And when you're an employee, you're typically only paying half of those because the employer is paying the other half. But now, when you're paying as an S Corp, you'll still pay that 15.3% on your salary that you pay yourself, and you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. You can't pay yourself $5 when you're on salary. But the rest as a distribution, or sometimes called a dividend, that you only pay federal income tax on that. So you remove that 15.3% tax burden. Now, what that looks like is, let's say that you're making, I don't know, $87,000 a year in net income, and then you pay yourself a reasonable salary of, let's say, $39,500 because you're just getting started here, or maybe we even make it a little bit higher. That's where a business attorney can help you determine what a reasonable salary is as well. But you can also Google, like you can go on like Open Door or Glassdoor, I think it's called, and see like what are normal salary ranges for different positions. But you can see as a sole proprietor, you're going to pay this much in taxes. But as a sole proprietor who is paying a dividend because they have an S corporation, this is how much you would pay in taxes. So just by electing your business to be, your LLC to be taxed as an S Corp, in this scenario, you'd save $6,196 every single year in that situation. Now, the reason that people recommend $40,000 to $50,000 of net income is there is an expense to having an S Corp. It's extra management when it comes to tax time. But usually when you get to that point, it makes a lot of sense to start doing this because you can save on taxes. Now, other thing I want to mention here, free CPA advice. A lot of times a CPA is like a point guard for your business. They know good resources to point you to. They know what step you're at in your business or what things you might not be thinking of. And what you can do here, and this is pretty cool, you can go to Intuit, who owns QuickBooks, and I'll put in the zip code of my beloved Buffalo Bills just as a example here. Hopefully, you know, when you're watching this video, they've won a Super Bowl, but they haven't won it in my lifetime. What I want you to do is at the top, you can select services and then select tax planning, tax setup and small business tax. And we're going to search. Now what I'm looking for is this little blue box here that says they offer free consultations. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we click more, there's even going to be more probably. Oh, we have 6 then. So what I've found is 6 advisors within 10 miles. If you don't find anybody, you can always expand this a little bit and go further out. But these are going to be people who are willing to have a conversation with you about your tax setup. They may also have advice on business permits and licenses, and they can point you to a business attorney if you feel like you need one. But this is a really cool kind of hack as far as having that first conversation. And don't feel bad if you can't work with that person today. They're offering that free consultation because when you do have the funds to pay for a CPA, and I definitely recommend you get one in earlier rather than later, that's going to be the CPA most likely you're going to go with unless you just didn't vibe with them for whatever reason. Another thing is this yearly accounting calendar. What I would recommend is when you get this Notion doc here, there's a link in the description below. This is a free document. Everything on here is available to you. I would recommend clicking on this image here, and this is going to be updated each year for the calendar year, and saving it to your phone and hearting it, right? Or if you're on an iPhone, you just click that heart favorite icon. And what it'll do is it shows when your quarterly estimated taxes are due. Now, if you're not familiar, if you start to earn more than $1,000 in net income in the year, if you're going to be paying taxes on that, they recommend that you start doing quarterly estimated taxes. And those are due at certain points during the year. Every state, typically, what you can do is you can like create a login in the state and be able to file that in the state level. And then you can also mail a check to the IRS. So you're going to be paying state and federal, right, taxes quarterly estimated. The way it works is it's kind of based on like what you did last year and what you're estimating that you're going to be making. And the reason they do this is a lot of business owners, they don't put money aside for things like taxes. And at the end of the year, they get a big tax bill and they can't pay it. This makes it so that the government is getting their money on a quarterly level. There's W-2 filing deadlines and 1099 NEC filing deadlines. These are both January 31st. That's if you have employees or 1099 NECs. This is when you need to file the forms for them. Now, if it's a 1099 miscellaneous filing, which you can look this up, and I'll have also information of this in the glossary of the Notion doc. This is when you have to do the paper filing or electronic filing. Here what is important. Single owner LLCs and C Corps, your actual taxes are due on 4/15/2024 of this year, and then you can file an extension, which a lot of CPAs will do, which pushes you out to October 10th. Personally, I don't like filing extensions. I like to just have it done. What I found there are some CPAs, they just like to do things last minute and some don't. My first CPA, she loved doing it like the day before taxes were due, which I hated. And then I talked to another CPA and he's like, oh no. He's like, I want to be done. I will get everything squared away. Once in a while, somebody needs an extension, but he's like, I like to have things put up front. So talk to the CPA. See, like, do you typically file extensions or when do you file the taxes? This is also a good reminder too, tax moves. Final day is 12/31. So let's say you've made a bunch of money this year and you're like, there's some things that you can invest in like computer equipment or software or training. You may want to get that in this calendar year. And then also it's the final date that you can set up a solo 401k. This is really important too. If you can set up a solo 401k for your business, and I know we're getting into the weeds, but I want to plant seeds here for you. When you're in your second, third year of business is doing well, you can start to save on taxes by having the proper solo 401k set up. And you don't have to have that set up the first day of the year. You can do it towards the end of the year. And then what you can do, you can start to invest money into your retirement, and you can do that pre-tax. And there's advantages of doing that in terms of saving on your taxes as well. And as I've mentioned before in other videos, we have a free charity opportunity, and that is where we donate $20 on your behalf to a local charity. It's called Crisis Services. So when you use our links, just know that $20 is donated on your behalf. What I have next on the screen here is a review of Bizee, which is typically the LLC formation service that I recommend for most people. That is because they're transparent and honest with their pricing, but we're actually going to jump into the back-end dashboard and see what it looks like after you form an LLC. What does it look like to manage your LLC using one of these online legal tools? And we're going to be focusing on Bizee in this video. All right, I'll catch you in the next video.